Well, it's good to see you again. We are going to take a short trip to Wyoming, if you would. Our opening picture today that Sherry brings us is we have Bison, quite the cow. She is out there with the herd, just having a great time eating grass. And if you were to pull back on this picture, you might see 75 bison out there. Lovely, lovely picture. So thank you, Sherry, for this. By the way, in the background, just beyond that, are the Tetons. Man, just amazing country here. Thanks again to Sherry. So let's jump into our story today. Gospel of John, chapter 11. This is our third part of chapter 11. And I give you an interesting subtitle here. It says, Religious Leaders and Their Fear of the Government of Rome. Overview, introduction combined. I want you to know that sometimes people, unbeknownst to themselves, do something for God, speak things that are truth, and sometimes they're not even aware of it. So we have one such story here. As fear grips the religious leaders because of who Jesus is and what he is doing, one of these moments are recorded for us in John chapter 11. So I hope you are paying attention. I'm going to jump right in. We start here. This is verse 47. And the subtitle here is The Conspiracy to Kill Jesus. So please pay careful attention to the words of Scripture. Therefore, the chief priests and the Pharisees convened a council and were saying, What are we doing? For this man is performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, all men will believe in him. And here it comes, it's in red. And the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation. Now, it sounds like a bit of an overstatement. But isn't it intriguing that the religious leaders are gripped with fear because Lazarus was raised from the dead, the blind man could see, people were healed that were several miles away because people of faith came and by faith accepted Jesus and what he was able to do. Some weren't even believers in the God of Israel. And this would normally be something you would embrace with a celebration, one would think. But instead, what we're finding here is the chief priests and the Pharisees are totally gripped with real fear. This is not pretend fear. This is real fear. But you got to pay attention because something profound is about to happen. But one of them, this is verse 49, but one of them, Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year, said to them, You know nothing at all, nor do you take into account that it is expedient for you that one man die for the people, then the whole nation should perish. Now, I'm just going to tell you that that is just pure gospel language. Caiaphas is completely unaware of the profound truth he is stating here. Paul writes about it in Romans. You read that through Romans and 4 and 5, and you just get this whole story laid out quite profoundly. But now let's read on because it isn't over. Now he did not say this on his own initiative, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but in order that he might also gather together into one the children of God who were scattered abroad. So John is recording this remarkable story, and he understands how significant those words are prophetic. Understand Caiaphas is coming from a point of fear, but understand that John is coming from a man of faith. John was willing to follow Jesus in his relationship with Jesus and his Father by faith alone. had absolute confidence that Caiaphas had no idea what he was saying and how important it really was. But at the bottom of the slide, verse 53, again in red, so from that day on they planned together to kill him. What a strange story. Just stop and think about this for just a moment, okay? If in your town Jesus were to come and heal the lame, the withered hand, the blind, the sick, and maybe in some cases healed everyone who was willing by faith to accept the gift that he brought from his Father, would you be afraid of the government? Now, listen carefully. There's a lot of people afraid of the government. We're seeing that in our culture today. We're living in a very unusual time. I can't honestly explain that to you, except sometimes there are dark forces at work. But in an unusual way, and this is a very important slide, with Christ on the cross there, it says in an unusual way, Caiaphas prophesied the gospel reality in Jesus' death. One man died to save the nation. It was one man died to save the entire world. Some people, sometimes unaware, can speak profound truths, can't they? Just let that settle in for just a moment. Verse 54. Therefore Jesus no longer continued to walk publicly among the Jews, but went away from there to the country near the wilderness into a city called Ephraim. And there he stayed with his disciples. Now the Passover of the Jews was near, and many went up to Jerusalem out of the country before the Passover to purify themselves. So they were seeking for Jesus and were saying to one another as they stood in the temple, "What do you think, that he will not come to the feast at all?" Now the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that if anyone knew where he was to report it so they might seize him. I just want to say this to you one more time. Legalism. Christians who believe they have to act right, eat right, and dress right, sometimes it turns them into spies, distrustful, fearful. And that is the case here. They sent out people to look for Jesus so that they could grab him, seize him, as the text says, and put him to death. They had to put a stop to this goodness. They had to put a stop to this forgiveness taking place. They had to put a stop to this healing. How is it with you? When you think about Jesus, about all the goodness that he did, do you have joy unlimited? Can you accept by faith that what he has done in these stories, he wants for you nothing but the goodness of life unlimited? I hope you don't have a church that's full of spies. I hope you have a church that's just full of joy, unlimited because of Jesus. I'm going to go to our closing picture here. We were in the Ruby Mountains. On top of a big bull pine was a huge nest. And this is the mother in charge of that nest. Now, there's something unique about this picture. If you look at it carefully, there's a very soft focus on this bird because Sherry got out of the truck and she walked over and was taking pictures, and she was obviously within about 30 feet of that nest. And this mother bird had climbed up in altitude and then just came shooting down at about 150 miles an hour, I'm guessing. Throws open her wings and you could hear the flutter of the feathers. And you can see everything is open on this bird to turn her to go upward around. Now, Sherry was in no danger, I will assure you. But the mother bird made a point, and Sherry snapped this fabulous picture. Blue sky, cloud. There wasn't anything this bird would not do to protect her young. What a remarkable gift of motherhood that God gave creation and the animals in our creation. So I just want to say, Sherry, thank you for this moment. I was there. It was pretty exciting. And what a joy it is to share this brief and short story with you. And I do want to ask you one more time. Have you said yes to Jesus today? That you by faith can walk and accept all the goodness he wants to do in your life? Take care now. See you again soon. Bye-bye.